back to Conversations on Deck, and today is Topps Wednesday, folks. We're looking at this 1988 Topps card of Nolan. Oh my goodness, I got gum stuck on the back of my card. Ryan. Yeah, that's it. Born January 31st, 1947 in Refugio, Texas. I mean, everybody that knows baseball knows Nolan Ryan. I remember having a friend in college. Her name was Mary Ellen, and she had a brother who named his kid Nolan Ryan Hart. That was the last name. Isn't that crazy? He loved Nolan Ryan. Well, I love Nolan Ryan too, and I was excited to get his card in this pack of 88 Topps. And you know what? I was excited to have the gum stuck on the back because, it gives me a chance to talk about chewing gum. And we'll talk a little bit later about Big League Chew. Well, let's go to 1988. 88 was great. I was 18 years old, graduated from high school. Nolan Ryan was a little bit older, 41 years old. He had a 2.0 WAR, 12 and 11 record, 3.52 ERA, pitched in 34 games, 220 innings, workhorse, 86 earned runs, 87 walks, led the NL with 228 Ks. That's awesome. And he had 7 hit by pitches. And he also, this is what I think is cool, he got, so this year, 88, he won his 100th game with the Astros against the New York Mets. And then he became the second person, along with Cy Young, to have at least 100 wins on a team in the NL, and then at least 100 wins with a team on the AL. And that happened on July 9th, 1988. And leading up to that, he had a 7-game streak of no decisions or losses. Here's what he said after that game. Quote, "I think it kind of goes along with longevity. After you go through a spell like I've been through, you're just glad to get it over with. I'm taking each year as it comes along. I can't make any projections or predictions. I anticipate pitching next year, but I'll have to make that evaluation at the end of the season." End quote. And you know what? That's super honest. That's respectable. I mean, at that time, he was 41 years old. 41 years old. And he was pitching against some amazing talent in the NL. And so I thought, okay, let's look at some of these matchups in 1988 with some of the top hitters. And you all have heard of them. So let's say Darryl Strawberry. Well, Strawberry only faced him that one game, which turned out to be Ryan's 100th win with the Astros. Here's how Darryl Strawberry did. He was 0 for 3 with 1 strikeout. Now, let's look at the great Andre Dawson. Okay, and he was 0 and 6. 0 and 6. Can you believe that? Oh, I wanted to show you this. So here's Darryl Strawberry. Okay, 0 and 3. Then we had the Hawk here. All right, that's a great card of the Hawk in 88. And the Hawk, like 0 and 6, 4 strikeouts. Here's a great card. I love this. Andres Galarraga, the big cat, went up against the Ryan Express. How did Big Cat do? He was 1 for 6, 2 strikeouts. And then the great Barry Larkin. That's a great pitcher, Barry Larkin, 88 Topps. And Barry Larkin went 2 for 6, but he made this pretty cool stat. He had a leadoff home run in one of those games against Nolan Ryan, and that was the first leadoff home run against Nolan Ryan since 1975. Now, I could not find an 88 card of Will the Thrill Clark. So here was an 87. I have a bunch of 88 packs, so I'm hoping, praying I'll get a Will Clark 88 Topps. But here's the 87. How'd Will the Thrill do? He did terrific. 5 and 7 in 1988. and it was a 7.14 batting average. He had a home run, 2 doubles in 1 game. So that's how Thrill did. All right, well, let's look a little bit at this Big League Chew. Again, I was thinking Nolan Ryan, he had that gum stuck on the back. I tried to look up, did he chew gum? Yeah, he did chew gum. He chewed tobacco too early in his career, and when he started with the Mets. And then in 1984, he quit chewing tobacco. He smartened up. Nolan Ryan was known for a guy of being, physically fit. He worked out very early in his career, lifting weights, stretching, exercise, all that kind of stuff. But he was still chewing tobacco. 1984, he quit. Well, in 1989, he jumped on board of this program called Through with Chew, and he became a spokesperson to help encourage little leaguers and college minors, big league guys to quit chewing tobacco and lead good, healthy lives. And I think that was pretty cool, And you think of Big League Chew, that came out in 1977. It was created, this is what the back of the bag says. Big League Chew was created by former Cornell lefty Rob Nelson in 1977 while playing for the fabled Portland Mavericks. With the help from 13-year-old bat boy Todd Field and former New York Yankees All-Star Jim Bouton, Rob's idea got off to a sweet start. The idea was simple: shredded bubble gum in a Stay Fresh pouch. The first batch was made on February 6, 1979 in Candy Field's kitchen. That's Todd's mom. Well, that's so cool. My birthday's on February 8th. My daughter, her birthday's on February 6th. Big League Chew hit retail shelves a year later and instantly became a fan favorite across America. Now, I don't know if Nolan Ryan chewed Big League Chew. I have no idea. I do remember as a kid, I was Little League, so 1980 when it would be out there, I'd be 10 years old, and I was playing at Buchendahl baseball field in upstate New York. That was a great times of my life. Another remembrance of Big League Chew. When I was in Boy Scouts, I remember my first summer going to Boy Haven, again upstate New York, and went with my friends Steve and Chris and Sean, and we were like young scouts, and of course you camp outside and stuff like that. Well, there was an older group of Boy Scouts. My brother was in this group, but there was one guy, not going to say his last name, but his first name was Rich. He had a Foot Locker, and in that Foot Locker, we got in there one time with another friend of ours, Pat, and Rich had all these packs of Red Man tobacco. We put a lot of stuff in those things that kind of contaminated. But later on that week, there was a bubble blowing contest, and this guy, Rich, blew a bubble with chewing tobacco, Red Man chewing tobacco, and Big League Chew. And it was the most disgusting bubble I've ever seen in my life. Crazy. Anyways, let's get back to Nolan Ryan. We'll end it here with this quote. Enjoying success requires the ability to adapt. Only by being open to change will you have a true opportunity to get the most of your talent. End quote. Well said, Nolan Ryan. I think that goes for any of us. As we grow older in the things that we do, whether it be work, whether it be in our relationships with other people, our marriages, our friendships, we have to grow. We need to adapt to use the most of what God has given us. And that's a skill. And not everybody does it. Sometimes people don't want to change. They don't want to be flexible. They don't want to adapt. And they don't want to grow. Others, like Nolan Ryan, the guy pitched for 27 years. He dominated for 27 years up into the age 46. Pretty cool. All that information because of one stick of gum. You guys have a great day, folks.